Good morning, or good day, I should say. I'm glad I wanted to start documenting my spiritual journey. I feel it's important to document things that I'm going through and the changes that I'm experiencing. For me, more than anything, to keep an accurate memory of everything, the events that's happened, is going on in my life and so like that. And hopefully my experience, my journey might help some of you guys or help some other folks out there in the world that might be experiencing some things and who might feel they're crazy and whatnot and what have you. I guess I would like to start out, what really began me, because I know a lot of times a lot of people feel that I began being spiritual once I got into Ifa, but that's not really the case. I think I've always been spiritual. I think in my family, I think I come from a very strong, spiritually inclined family, and by that I mean really talented, gifted folks that, they managed to they managed to manifest their Ache through word. And some were precognitive. They can see into the future. They can see into people. They can read people, and that's been all throughout my family, though. So I think my family in general is spiritually gifted, which kind of awoke me at an early age. I would say it started for me actually back in middle school. And before I get into that, though, just introduce myself officially, though. I go by ZJ, though, but most folks that know me for a long period of time, they know me as Vincent. So, but ZJ is fine. We're getting back into it, though, and I've told this story many times to a lot of people, though, especially people that I'm really close to, though, but I always kept it kind of to myself, though, because you don't want people to think that you're crazy or that the things that you that's happening around that you're noticing, maybe they're just part of your imagination and whatever like that, though. And I will tell you time and time again, Yemaya has shown me each and every time that it's not a hallucination, it's not a string of events, like it's like cause and effect. Like you do one action and boom, there's a corresponding reaction to that. So I don't really tell the story to everybody, though, but I feel now like, why not just put it out there? Because a lot of people experience things and they think that, they're crazy. So anyway, middle school. I remember I grew up late 80s, early 90s, though, so kind of borderline-ish, 80s kids, 90s kids, whatever. We were introduced to a lot of horror films early in life, though, so like Chucky scared the shit out of me as a kid. I used to have a little My Buddy toy, and I think after watching the first Child's Play, I took a hammer, I took it outside, and I made sure that toy would never be possessed, and it would never come from me and my family. The toy got it. Okay, I shanked him good. And I remember after that, feeling like, okay, Freddy Krueger wasn't scary no more. I got over Child's Play. Jason never scared me. Michael Myers never scared me. There was just a lot of shit that didn't affect me. And I just remember moving forward, and I remember telling my grandmother that I wanted to be scared. Like, I felt like I was numb inside. Like I should have reactions, and I don't have reactions. I was kind of apathetic, even as a youth. So I always tell my grandma, like, only time I really had that fear is like, when I believed Chucky was really gonna possess my toy and come from my family. That was a genuine fear there. So I felt like that rush of adrenaline, that wherever that fear was, kind of make me feel alive. Though. So I was like, I want to experience that again. Like I want that. So my grandma told me, read the Bible, boy. The Bible will scare you. And although I don't know why the Bible will scare me, I mean, as a child, Christians, y'all some funny folk. But I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go read this Bible, because I'm like, I don't understand. We're supposed to be, loving a God that we're terrified of, though. It didn't make much sense to me. But I said, okay, so I read the Bible. I've read the Bible from cover to cover. And when I say I read it, I don't just read, to read it. I read to understand, though. So if there's something in the Bible I didn't understand, I reread it. I asked my questions. I got understanding. At the time, we didn't have internet like that back then, though, so I really couldn't go online. But those were for the wealthy families back then. That's when the internet was first getting introduced. You got to be able to afford to have that internet bill and those data rates. But I said, okay, I'm gonna read this Bible. So I fell in love with the book of Revelation. Like all the parts of the Bible, the story of Moses and the Ten Commandments. It was like, okay, yeah, I've seen it done a million times. Seen the TV movie, seen all that shit though. So I'm like, okay, I already know the Ten Commandments. It's fascinating to read it though, so I can get the whole ins and out of it. I don't know what's real and what's fake. But that was it. For that, there was other parts. With Joan of Arc. There was other stories in there, especially about how Islam began. Though a lot of people don't understand that that's told in the Bible too. Though, so I don't know why Christians and Muslims don't get along, but they don't for whatever reason. I do know, but anyway, I read all throughout the Bible though. Book of Isaiah really got me together. Though, love that book. Job I didn't care for too much. Numbers didn't care for too much either. Genesis, of course, I got my, everybody loves Genesis, though. It tells you about how the world became what it is, though. So, love that part too. But Book of Revelations, now that was a revelation, okay? That was like that should have been a movie. Like somebody, well, I think they did do a movie about that though, but it wasn't as brilliant as told. Like we needed what the Bible was describing, like down to the T. That shit was fucking amazing. So I read that book like over and over and over and over again to the point where I could quote you each part by part. Like I had a whole film in my head about how that should have been done. Like I should have pursued Hollywood. Got into it though. So after a while, it's like, okay, well, I done as many times as I heard the Ten Commandments is about as many times as I read the Book of Revelations. Didn't really scare me, kind of thrilled me, which kind of gave me that joke that I was looking for though. But after a while, it kind of fizzed out. So I quit reading the Bible, and this is starting to burn you guys. This is like now 8th grade. What we're saying. This is now 8th grade going into 9th grade, and I remember going to school and like that, and a few months go by, maybe even a few months go by, probably even longer than that when I had the dream. What was interesting was it wasn't a thought in my head anymore. I wasn't really tripping about the Bible anymore. I never went to church. I think the last church I had been into up until that time was when my mom was taking me, and when she stopped going to church, so did we, and that was that. So it wasn't like I went to church every Sunday. It wasn't like I was doing anything that had me thinking about the Bible, whatsoever at all. I was a kid back then though. Shit, we was fucking playing around in school and trying to make our grades and shit. Go home one night, go to sleep. And it was like, I remember dozing off. And like, as I dozed off, like right that moment when I fell into sleep, it was like, I didn't go to sleep. I kind of stayed conscious throughout that transition. Like I was still cognitive of who I was. And then when I woke up in the dream, or came to in the dream, I should say, I remember standing on, it was like being, I guess a very tall mountain, a cliff, whatever. And it was like a whole wall of mountain, I guess. I'm trying to think of what's the proper term for it. I know what it is, though. We always think of like the Grand Canyon, like a big-ass, tall-ass rock walls or whatever like that. The canyon walls. Canyon, okay. Maybe I can look at canyon then, okay. So there's a whole canyon road, of hills and whatever like that. And I was kind of like on this balcony. And the balcony was like kind of built into the hills or whatever. So I remember looking around, and I was like kind of paralyzed in the moment, but I still had free movement. Like I remember cognitively like checking myself to be sure, like, am I really experiencing? Is this really me inside there though? So I remember twitching my arms, moving my arms to say, okay, this is me. I'm in control, and I'm here. And I remember feeling the air, the coldness of the air, smelling the dew from the mountain. I remember smelling the fiery smoke and dust. And I remember looking around like, holy shit, like I'm here. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. I remember reading about, I forget the term now. It's been so many years. It's almost coming. Oh, I lost it. I remember vivid dreams. There we go. I remember reading about vivid dreams though, so I remember that, if you're able to take control of your dreams, like you can kind of live out your wildest imagination. You can do whatever you want to, because in this case, you're controlling the constructs. So I said, ooh, like, what can I do? But no matter how hard I thought about it, like, I really couldn't change it to it. It was as real as I'm in this car right now, how real it was. So, and I started looking around, and I remember to the far right of me, there was like this, I guess, is it called a meso something? It's like a plateau mountain. It's like, it doesn't have really a top. It's a flat surface, but it's a huge ass mountain that you had to wind up to get to the top to. I think Native Americans live on those. I forget the name of those too. And I'm a little bit high, y'all. I remember seeing a mountain like that to the far right though. It seemed like we could be like over, like maybe like 100 miles away. I would say, like, you're close enough to see the details of the mountain, but far enough away where it's gonna take you a while to get there. So I remember seeing them, and it was like, damn, that's probably like on foot. That's probably like a 2 or 3 day journey. So I'm like, okay. I seen these white glowing figures like winding up the mountain and going up and towards the sky. So I'm like, okay. Visually wise, I know where this came from. This came from a painting that I saw of these souls going, getting led into heaven. Though I said, this is from the Book of Revelation. I said, okay, I know what that is. I said, okay. Look over to my left. Over to the left, there was 2 mountain ranges though, but you could kind of see in between them, and in between them, you could see the shadow of a fire. So I was looking at it in between, and I see like these shadows, kind of like dancing in between the flames. And I was like, okay, so those must be the people that's going to hell. Could have been wrong about that. Now that I got older and read more books and different things like that, though, those might have been spirits in the fire or in between the fire, though, but those may not necessarily have been hell. And then in front of me, it was an open ass field, lush green field. But there was a tornado, like several tornadoes ravaging through. I see lightning striking the ground or whatever. And I said, okay. So then I look up into the sky, because I said, okay, this is a part in the Revelations where, there's a war in heaven, though. So I look up, and sure enough, I see, winged figures, flying against each other, in the sky. So while the lightning is going and everything and shit is happening, I was like, oh shit. So then I heard the thunder, like, boom, real loud. And I was like, oh, fuck. What the fuck was that? But the thunder itself, had a voice. And it said, be not afraid. I was like, be afraid of what? And in that moment, in that split second, some figure before me came before me. And he was pretty much dressed in all black, or whatever. Kind of looked like the Grim Reaper. But all I could see was, was his chin. So I'm like, in that moment I'm thinking, oh fuck, this is the Grim Reaper, this is Satan. Given his presence, he let off a real cold, ominous aura. Like, I didn't know what to make of it though, but it was such an overpowering fear. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with anime, but if you guys are familiar with a show called Bleach, right? There's a whole thing about this whole spiritual pressure, and when someone has a really strong spiritual energy, they can kind of suppress the other energies, sometimes controlling them physically, paralyzing them, with utter sheer fear, wherever like that. So in that moment, I felt like that, like whatever his spiritual pressure was, it was fucking overpowering, and I couldn't move. All I know, I wanted to get the fuck away from him. I never experienced nothing like that though. But like when I say genuine fear, it was like, oh shit, it's got to be the devil, because I ain't afraid no punk ass demon or whatever like that. You know, I think I can strong enough to handle it. I never dealt with one, but I feel confident at that time that I can handle that with my knowledge of the Bible. So, I'm like, holy shit. And so I tried to look at him, and I couldn't even really look at him. I couldn't just, I can barely lift my eyes up high enough just to see his chin. So I'm hearing the thunder telling me, don't be afraid. And I'm like, oh shit, like how can I fucking not be afraid? But okay. I'm like, I'm gonna put it. I think this is God testing me, so I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna reach in, and I'm gonna take the straight, not to be afraid. So in that moment, he reaches his hands out, like not in the, and he was gesturing like he wanted me to take his hand. So I'm like, oh fuck. So at this time, I'm panicking, like, oh fuck, he's trying to invite me to the dark side. I'm not going to the dark side. This thing is gonna kill me. This man's gonna kill me though. So I look over to the mountain, like, okay, well, I know Jesus is gonna lead them out over there though. So where is Jesus at though? I'm a good child. I don't really do a lot of bad shit. I misbehave with it right there, but that's not a sin like that. I'm trying to think of all the things I did as a sin. Like, damn, well, jacking off a sin. I remember when we was little though, I used to play with my childhood friends' pussy, like that, something like that. If was that a sin too? Like, oh shit, I'm gonna burn in hell. So I'm having a freaking freak out moment right there though. So I'm like frantically looking for Jesus. So Jesus kind of steps out of the line with all the other prophets. Now, what's crazy about it was that even the Muslim prophets stood out in line, and I was able to identify them. And for that matter, and at the time, like, there was other people, not just prophets, there though, but other lead spiritual figures, in other religions, like they are all there too. So that was pretty interesting to me. But I wasn't worried about them at the time. It was like, if y'all ain't helping, fuck y'all, I need Jesus. So Jesus started praying though. So I'm like, okay, Son of God, he got my back. He praying to his pops for me. Like, okay, I'm gonna be good. So I'm like, okay. I heard the thunder, again telling me, don't be afraid. So I'm like, okay. So I start reaching out toward to his hand, and like as I did so, the floor beneath us came completely clear, and I literally saw myself laying in bed. I saw my sister laying in bed. And then it started moving, like the images started moving like a camera, like a slideshow. So then, like, I saw my mom in her room. Then I saw a homeless guy in the corner. And at this point, like, these are kind of like those GIF files, those GIF files. They have a little motion to it though. So like, I'm seeing people in a hospital giving birth. It flashes somebody else, and it flashes it just started flashing to shit all around the world as it was happening. And I remember thinking to myself, how do I know this is real? And I remember seeing images of the time and where it would be in the world, and it was crazy because it was validated that morning. Like my mom always woke us up turning on the news, talking about we need to know what's going on in the world and get to see what the weather's gonna be like though. So I remember, some of the stories that popped up, things like were in my dreams. So I was like, holy shit. But didn't think much about it as a child. To get back into it, I saw these images, and as these images flash, I feel like this, this warm feeling, like in the center of my core, like in the center of my being, and it's kept getting hotter and hotter as the image flashed. As faster they went, like the hotter it burned, to the point where I felt like he was trying to burn me from the inside. He was about to evaporate me though, so I snatched away. So at this point, I'm crying like, oh shit, I'm about to die. So I'm looking at Jesus like, hey, like, man, you need to hurry up with this prayer. I don't like this shit's not cool. Like, you need to come save me. Send one of your angels. I don't give a fuck who. Send a horseman. I don't care. Like, I need you to come and save me. I need my Jesus to come save me. So the guy turns around, or wherever presence this was turned around. I'm assuming Satan still. He turns around and walks towards the edge of the cliff. So he gestures for me to like follow him towards the edge of the cliff. I'm like, Lord, he about to put me over here though. So I keep hearing this thunder saying, be not afraid though. So I'm like, okay, I'm like Lord, like you making this real hard tonight for me to have faith for you, because in the Bible you came to people's rescue almost instantly. But like, what you taking your sweet time with me? Like, it's because I'm black? Like, what's going on here? So, I mustered up the courage or whatever like that to go forward. I said, okay, Lord, I'm still gonna trust you. Let me. I'm gonna see what this do. So I walk towards the edge with him, and he's like, at this point, he's just looking out. He's not even paying me no attention though, which I found really weird, because I'm like, well, the fuck, like, just a minute you were trying to kill me, and now you're not even like paying attention to me, whatever. So I walk over. I look out over the edge where he was looking out at though. So what I thought was a lush green field wasn't a lush green field at all. When I looked down, if I remember correctly, initially I thought it was a cornfield. As I got closer though, but it was not a cornfield. When I looked down on it, there were impaled angels and people on these spikes. And when I really realized what the field was, it was like illusion had went away, and it became like a bloody field. And I see all these angels, impaled, on the spikes that was coming up out the ground. And I was like, oh shit though. So at this point, I'm like frantically, hysterically crying. I was like, oh my fucking God, like what the fuck is going on, and why has no one came to get me yet? Like, where is my taxi? Where is my ride? I need to get to heaven ASAP, because this shit ain't it right now. So I'm like, oh fuck. So one of the angels look up to me, and he's reaching out like he wants me to help him off of it. Then he just said, this is truly the end. And he passes out, or he dies, basically. And I was like, oh, shit. So I look at Jesus like, what the fuck, yo? Like, and the guy, after the guy says that, after the dead angel says that whatever that being was, Satan was, he reached out to me again, like, I want you to take my hand again. So I'm like looking at Jesus like, yo, like, I don't give a fuck now. Like, okay, Buddha, Muhammad, Izanagi, I don't care. Like, I need somebody. I need a savior. Like, this shit's not cool no more. I'm not going forward with this. God telling me not, don't be afraid, but I am fucking afraid. Like, this is it. I quit. I got nothing. I'm not fucking with none of this though. So I'm like panicking like hell. So then it seemed like that mountain was like literally within yards away from me. Like, I can see Jesus, like, as though I can reach out and touch him. And when I looked into his face, all I seen was these tears, black as death, you know what I'm saying, like streaming down his face. Like, it left a black stream on his head. It wasn't even a shade lighter. It was just all dark. And I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know if this means evil is winning. I don't know why nobody's coming for me, though, so I'm going the fuck out of my mind. So I was like, okay, well, fuck it then. These motherfuckers won't save me. This is the only motherfucker that's here for me then. Then fuck everybody who wasn't there for me, though. So, like, I reached out and I snatched his hand. And as he's doing that, images is like flashing. Actually, the floor became clear, and we came kind of like I was coming out of it's like the world was fogging up around me, though. So as I'm falling up, though, he's leaning into my ear and he's telling me, "You think you know, but he said, but you will." And when he says that, like, I'm falling back into myself, and when I land, I woke up and I was like, I pissed myself, and I was in a sweat. I went through it, but it really felt weird, and I never felt that way before ever in life. And that was, reading up about it though. A lot of people describe that as an out of body experience. So it was the first time I ever had a spiritual type experience, and since then that had guided my life to the point where I was like really connected, as a child. And I just remember in my panic, because when I woke up, I was like, okay, first of all, my bad, God. Like, I would never turn my back on you like that. I don't know what the fuck was going on in that dream, though, but clearly I understand that was a dream, and that was a bad decision call for me. I went to my whole panic mode, and then I remember asking my grandma questions about certain things. Never explained to her what that dream was. I actually never told none of my family what that dream was. And I just remember, asking people that I knew that was real spiritual, and I would tell some of them about the dream to see like what could they tell me about it. And most of them, had a blank look up until high school. And I remember, especially if any of you guys who watch this who went to high school with, like, they know I went through a whole kind of 360 change, with my life. Though I wasn't, interested in the same shit that the other kids were interested in. Didn't give a fuck about the Jordans, didn't give out, new clothes and all that shit, though. It was like, but that Bible, though, we could have this Bible talk any day of the week. Like, I'm like, now I'm looking in the Bible for answers. Christians used to say back in the days that, you can find all the answers you need in the Bible, though. So I was like, now at this point, studying the Bible. So that's why I won't ever see myself going back to Christianity, because a lot of Christians, they think they could talk me back into it and tell me that, that they have an understanding in the Bible. Like, no, I studied the shit out of that Bible. You feel me? Like, I had to study at a scholarly level because I was trying to find answers to what I was going through. So I had to read various different stories. I had to read a lot of different things to help me try to find answers. But the whole time I was studying and reading, I had this gut feeling, something in at the core being where I was burnt at, though, that felt hollow, and it told me like I was needing something spiritual. Like, I needed to find my spiritual spot and to fill that up with. Like, my light was empty, my light was low, or something. So whatever that feeling was, it was got to be towards that, because I couldn't get my mind off of religion. I couldn't get my mind off of finding that spiritual answer to what the fuck that dream was. And I remember what was that? I had a second dream, but I don't remember the full details of the dream. But I remember waking up in the dream the same way I came into the first one. But this time I was in a dark room, a fiery dark room, and this half man, half serpent thing. He was like, but his tail, the lower half of his body was like the snake's body, and it was maybe like 500 feet longer, like that. Like, he came out of this doorway, and he spun around the room and like kind of coiled himself around the room until he was like right in front of me. He coiled himself around the room several times, but yet he was still coming out of that host. I don't really know how long he was, but I remember we had a conversation, and in the conversation, he told me, damn, I wish I remember the details of the conversation, but wherever it was a challenge to me to read certain parts of the Bible. And from there, he made it seem like I wasn't strong enough to go through this. But if I really want to go through this, this is where I need to look. So I remember when I woke up, I said, okay, let me go straight to that chapter. And when I read those chapters, I forget which, it was in, not Psalms. Is this Songs of Solomon? Oh, I gotta go back to it. But there's a passage in the Bible, and it says that God is saying that those who do not study in His way is not of Him. And the understanding I took from that message was that I needed to study God to learn more about who or what God is, or whatever. But whatever case it was, I was not going to learn it through Christianity, and I was challenged to go abroad somewhere else. There was another passage written. I think another passage. I think right after that passage, it said that I need to go out into the world or whatever, studying the Lord's way. So that took that understanding is that I need to experience other religions, other faiths to find my place with God. Find my place in the universe. So I remember I tried all kind of shit. I was a Kemeticist. I was a Buddhist. I was Taoist. I even tried to relive the Greek Roman mythologies. Wanted to even try to get into Native American thing. Like I've been a lot of things, but where it ended up landing me was it took me to Islam. And in Islam, once I found Islam back in high school, I remember it was Coach Davis, Erwin Davis. I'll never forget that man, though. That man changed a lot of students' life. He changed my life, though. So I'll forever and ever be grateful, to that man. Though he's probably the most positive male influence I've had in my entire life, though. So I try to live up to his standards. You feel me? Like I want to be the kind of man he is when I get to his age. But I remember. Meeting him, and something about him told him like that's where I need to be. So I came to him one day after class, or whatever, and I asked him about particularly his religion, and I said whatever his religion is, though, it's guiding him to be where he's at, though. So let me find out about his faith, though. And he introduced me into Islam, and ended up meeting Brother Augustus Muhammad too, another brother that positively changed my life. I need to get in contact with him again, too, though. But I know his life went to a whole different direction. But back in high school, he was very influential person for me too, as well, though. So I got into Islam for a while, and I was Muslim, for a good, about almost 12 years. And after which, something guided me, that empty feeling came back again and said, okay, like I got what I needed out of Islam. Islam is no longer has anything for me. I need to go somewhere else. So after a while, I couldn't really find nothing else because I felt like most of it was me being a fanatic, though. Like I picked religions that I liked, but nothing ever suited me. So I was just agnostic for a while. I believed in God, but didn't have a faith. I even stopped claiming Islam at that time, and I was agnostic for a good while. Several years after high school, didn't really have practice anything. Just lived my life, and I think the death of Trayvon Martin, though, I think he triggered another event for me because I always had a genuine concern for the world, like a genuine concern for the world and people in the upbringing. I always had a genuine care for people, and I didn't understand why we had to have suffering and sorrow in this world. Right, that though, and it was something about his death